Welcome to another episode of At the Bar With podcast. Today's guest is one that we wanted to get on here quite a while. Kevin Falness from the Minnesota Wild. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. For myself. I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is outstanding. What an elaborate setup you have.
We love it.
And we even love it more when guests bring stuff.
And the stuff, you have to explain what we have here.
So
that is beautiful.
I grew up in St. Louis Park. I live in St. Louis Park. My kids go to St. Louis Park schools and they play hockey at the rec center in St. Louis Park.
And while they're playing,
that's called a safety meeting where we discuss safety. And Steel Toe is basically right across the street from the rec center in St. Louis Park. So we spent many of hours at Steel Toe. And what I brought here is a growler from Steel Toe in St. Louis Park. And this is a special size 7 concoction.
This thing is ginormous and I can't wait to get into it.
I like the size 7.
I like the jug.
Yeah, right?
All right, so let's get into this.
Invites and glasses.
You know, you got two of the biggest broadcasters to ever come out of St. Louis Park High School in one podcast, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool.
St. Louis Park's had a number of broadcasters come out of there and some familiar names. And it's whether it's a Mark Rosen or a Jeff Passolt. And that's only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah. We can go with the Coen brothers. Al Franken's got roots.
Wow.
May Young from KQ.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. I think it's because, did you ever go to that, as an English elective when we were like junior, senior in high school? We could go to a media class as an English elective, right? I mean, did you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. KDXL. That was the radio station in the basement of St. Louis Park High School. I can't say that I did a lot there. I remember they had Grateful Dead on an 8-track or carts at the time, which is no longer a thing. And I remember playing that because I thought it would sound cool if I was playing Grateful Dead. Not much of a Deadhead myself, but that's one of the things that I remember. And Pete Peterson was the guy that was leading the charge, who unfortunately, in the last couple of years, has passed away. But he was the guy leading the ship down there.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, I got into the KDXL stuff as a senior, and it was good times. It was, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what.
So, Patrick, did you have like in school? Did they do it on video yet at that, or was it just? Did you?
No, it was just. We took like a media class, so it covered how to make a film. Like we actually made like cinema. Like you would get like this strip tape, and you would like do a cartoon. With a marker on it.
Strip tape.
But nowadays, as a teacher, I see
technology in 1990. Right there.
So the technology nowadays.
But most of it was just focused on the radio stuff.
On the radio stuff, yeah. So nowadays, it's like the kids actually have a full broadcast thing. Where
I don't doubt it.
They're on the TV and they do a news thing, and this is the local news.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
I could be wrong, and maybe Patrick knows better. I can't imagine there were a lot of cities in the country, let alone in Minnesota, that had their own radio station in the bowels of their building. St. Louis Park had that.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, like I said, I don't think maybe Patrick apparently took a lot more advantage of it than I did. I didn't really take a big advantage of it, but it opened my eyes to the possibilities. Now, again, in 1990, what the technology was then compared to what I'm using now, it's night and day. Even going from that to, I'm sure we'll talk about the internship at the FAN or working in Denver or now working with the Wild. The technology just grows year by year, it feels like, especially from 1990 and on. But it was a good foray, a good eye opener into what that business is like, and some of the the rudimentary technology that you'd use at that age.
Yeah.
So Kane Peterson, a buddy of mine, he just posted a picture. Patrick, isn't it radio broadcast week or day last week or something?
It was the National Radio Day a few days back, last Thursday.
Yeah, so he posted a picture when he said it was like 88, I think he was on. Man, the antiquated stuff that you guys used.
He was on the edge in 93X Hurricane Wayne.
I mean, everything's digital now.
Yep.
And Patrick knows that when we started out, I remember vividly the 4 reels, and you had to cut literally with a grease pencil, and you'd have to paste it together. I mean, it was just the stuff that we used to have to do. I remember working for the Vikings broadcast. We'd put together like a 3-minute bit. Now that would take me very little time. You'd have to voice, you'd find the music, you'd get the sound effects, you get the drops, and I could have that put together in 5-10 minutes. That thing was it was an all night project because you'd have to have someone sit there and voice it. Then you'd have to go and rewind it and put the music underneath it and then rewind it and then figure out the holes where you're going to put I just can't believe this stuff and stuck with it.
Oh, I know.
Wow.
So now you see this stuff that I'm looking at here. This is, what it's like now. It's like we're living in the future. With you,
especially now with AI, that's helping out.
Yeah.
And speaking of AI, let's put them up.
Well, Patrick, what are you drinking first?
Yeah, Patrick.
Well, I'm drinking two things, suckers.
Let's see what you got going on.
First of all, I've got my Jim Beam 7-year, and then I've also got my Golden State cider.
Oh, you're back to Golden State cider.
Mighty Dry Golden State. So this is would be the St. Louis Park Brewery of Sacramento. Let's just
and Gene is drinking what?
Wine.
Water
with grapes.
So like to make it
all right,
like to make it close to the broadcasters. We're a little bit late on that, but we'll do it to the St. Louis Park broadcasters.
All right, let's try that. Oh boy, that's good.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
And I'm not usually a very hoppy oriented guy. I like the malty, like the Smittix and stuff, but holy smokes, this isn't overpowering. It doesn't have that overly IPA heavy, like you're chewing your beer.
Yeah, the IBUs on this.
This is
I don't know. It's a size 7, which means 7%.
7%.
Yeah.
So the IBUs is probably a little bit higher. With not being able to taste, I can't taste beer, so I just drink hams usually. But the bitters is the stuff that I can still. Now I used to not like it at all, but now that I can't taste, I can appreciate it more. I can appreciate a beer.
Yeah,
is that a Pilsner or a lager?
It's a IPA.
It's an IPA.
Oh.
So I'm not doing a commercial for Steel Toe. I do go there a lot, but their size 7 is 7%. Their size 4 is 4%. And then they have a whole bunch of other things like Sticker Fight and a bunch of other things that you might like if you want it a little bit more strong, if you want a little less. Yeah. But they got a great patio out there. Again, I'm not doing a commercial for it, but I've spent some time.
We can plug them a little bit. Maybe you get a free growler on it.
We plug one thing here heavily.
Yep.
Okay.
Heavily. And we're going to pour you a little bit of our Orange Buddy.
All right.
Hey, Patrick, how many ultralights can you drink to get up to 7% alcohol?
12. Take me about 12.
And that's another reason why I don't drink beer like this. It's like, because you drink, I want to have some beers over the night.
I agree.
It's like you can only have one of these or two of these.
It's a donkey punch. You can't go all out. But this is my go-to. I just spent 3 weeks in California and I didn't have my size 7, so it's good.
Yeah, and you're talking a lot about the brewery and the Park pride. I remember as a kid, and I don't know if a lot of communities still have this. And Kevin, I think Park maybe still does a little bit, where the Little League teams, you would go to McCoy to get your gas because they funded Little League games, and the hockey sponsors and all of that. You'd go to the Park Tavern before and after events, and it was just there's a lot of community. Is Park different, or is there still a little bit of that going on?
Oh, there's a lot of bit of that going on. I've got kids that have been through it. Baseball for a good chunk. Now we're on to 2 of them in hockey. One of them's playing soccer, but the community is very much involved with helping out, whether it be, you named a lot of them, Park Tavern. There's a Parkway Pizza in St. Louis Park. Again, I can't name all the
Bunnies
stations. Yeah, Bunnies is involved. A lot of the folks around there.
They conglomerate a lot of stuff in West End, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff. Have you been there yet, Patrick?
And a lot of us natives got our first DUI coming from the class. So
knock on wood.
That was a milestone for us, right? I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah, and then there was a few things that were up on Excelsior Boulevard that they kind of moved out of there a little bit.
That was an outstanding place.
Oh yeah. What was that? McCoy's?
The Classic was one of them.
Classic.
McCoy's.
Al's.
Yeah.
Al's, of course.
Yep.
The Leaning Post was, I think, before my time. But that was up there on Excelsior.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's all been revamped. Bunnies is still large and in charge. And now Weston is the new place. That's got all it's got all the new.
That whole area is now more like a Galleria style of buildings and stuff like that. And it's a little more upper end, than anything. It kind of reminds me of Edina, back in Edina, but all the
50th and
the 50th and stuff. But
France,
a lot of
one
great
thing we don't
places
do,
there.
we don't put St. Louis Park and Edina in the same.
No, we don't.
We just separate.
Hey, Kevin, I don't know if this is true or just fairy tale or folklore, but is it true? And I heard this as like a freshman in high school, and I don't know. Was it fact that Edina showed up at a St. Louis Park hockey game in December and said, "We have Christmas"? Yes, we do. We have Christmas. How about you? And then threw bagels on the ice because of the Jewish connection to St. Louis Park, St. Jewish Park. Is that true? Or is that
I can't say that it's fact or fiction. I wasn't there. I've heard that story,
though.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard that the Edina guys did that. But again, I can't confirm or deny. I just know that I do have heard the story.
Yeah, right on.
So you guys known each other for how long, Patrick? You said,
so I mean, we've had like all of our guests, not all of them, but a lot of our guests have come from Brett and Stacy of Moundsview Connection. So I'm like, I'm going St. Louis Park tonight. So, we've had to suffer through your Moundsview stuff. But the first time I met Kevin, I was playing hockey. It was outdoor. It was by the fire station, I think. And so it's outdoor rink hockey, but we were like doing practices or there was a scrimmage. And I'm a goalie and I'm walking and they got the rubber mat that's about 4 feet wide. And I'm going back to the warming house. And coming at me is this big dude, all, decked out in hockey gear. And he gets close to me and he acts like he's going to like deck me. He goes, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck who's this fucking guy? And he walked by and gets on the ice. And I was like, who the fuck is that? And
I heard you tell that story to V-Rod. I will adamantly deny it. Doesn't sound like something I would do. But yeah, I probably have. All in fun, I hope.
But I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then like in junior high, they take Park elementary schools and then you just get mashed in with new people from other side of town. So I'm like, oh, that's the kid.
So you guys are the same grade?
Yeah. We graduated in 90 from SLP. But we played youth hockey growing up too. So
okay. You guys play on the same team then?
Sometimes. There are a couple. I got a couple with Patrick before he had the buzz cut with his hair right down the middle, feathered to the side. Goaltender gear, looking all tough.
Yeah. We've shown that picture before.
Yeah. So good. Any good stories on Patrick? Any good dirt? Any
from playing goal? He was actually one of the better ones that we had.
Especially sports, because we've heard lived through a lot of the Patrick days when he was a DJ, but never. He really wouldn't tell much about his hockey days.
What kind of a jock was he? Was he a good jock? Was he a...
Here's the problem with St. Louis Park. I mean, we might have had 2 good athletes come out of this community in anyone's lifetime.
And they both went into radio.
Not what I'm saying at all. So I don't know. I would say Patrick's in that next tier. He wasn't going pro at any point in time. But as far as goaltenders go, I'd say you were upper echelon for the group that we had.
I mean, I was making the A team every year, so I guess, and that was my downfall. Is I was like, I just mailed it in Bantam, first year of Bantam A. The second year, I didn't do anything over the summer. I showed up, and it was clear that the other 3-4 goalies trying out had been doing summer camp, and I had not.
Yeah.
So I was just so my last year, actually, Blake needed a goalie on their B2 squad. So I was like, okay, I'll play. I'll be the only goalie. So that's what I did. And then it was lights out after that. Cause I just really want to dedicate myself to trying to do like high school, because then that's, a lot of running and all of the dedication that it takes to no, it's like, I'm a hockey player. Why do you want to make me run around Lake Calhoun in under 7 minutes? Like, I didn't understand that part of it. I just wanted to be a goalie. And I was like, no, I don't have that kind of commitment. But
so I remember you telling that story where you quit for a while. Didn't you get back into it?
No. I went till about 15 and then I quit. So,
and then you got back into it.
I regret not going back.
You did get back into it about 2 years ago, right? Or last year?
Oh, I'm a referee.
No, he's a referee. You got on the ice. No, but you got back on the ice.
Yeah, I got back on the ice. So that's good. But that's fun. Yeah.
It's what's even better though is that not only did he get back on the ice, but he got back on the ice to ref his ex-wife.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more comedic that could just happen to Patrick hey,
Patrick, you suddenly just got a really good tan.
I've only refed like 2 of her games in 2+ years. So it's like she plays on Thursday nights and Saturdays, and I usually ref on every other night than that, and Sundays are basically what's going on. But
is it awkward? And not for you, is it awkward for her?
The first time I refed one of her games, she got tripped in the corner, and I called it immediately on the opposing team, and she just kind of gave me a look like, oh, okay, you're cool about this.
You didn't call me. You didn't call it on me, so we might be good.
Yeah, and then the other game, she got a penalty, but I didn't call it. My partner called it, so I was like, okay, it wasn't me.
I'm staying away from that one.
Yeah.
So your daughters don't come home and talk about sports. Mom says.
So Kevin and I think we both took kind of the same career path, right? So we graduate high school, we go to Brown Institute. Is that where you went right after?
I didn't go directly to Brown. I explored a little bit. I went to Mankato, now Minnesota State, for a year and realized that was not my path. And then I ended up at Brown probably in '93. So I had 3 years of deciding what I wanted to do. I always had radio in the back of my head. And that's how I ended up at Brown. And because of Brown, I got the internship at KFAN. I couldn't get an internship at the Fan without school. So I picked Brown and took I think it was the 9-month course, and got I got kind of the Tinker Toys version of radio with Brown. And then I got the real world version at the Fan, working with some of those personalities and people, great names in the history. Patrick's more music radio, I'm more sports radio, and some of the folks that I worked with, Thor Tolo, Bob Yates, Chad Hartman, Dan Barrero, Michelle Tafoya, Mike Woodley. I had some awesome names that I basically grew up working with before I ended up taking the job in Denver.
Well, and those are some really big names.
I thought so.
Sports radio.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, we were thinking like Minnesota, but even in the 5-state area, those are some big names. I mean, people listen to it all the time. And I used to be glued to KFAN. Yeah. I mean, glued listening to it.
I still am. Stupid, but I am. I'm more of I don't know why. Maybe I just like having, I drove to get, well, it was a deer. We had a deer butchered. We had to get it in South Dakota. And my dad decided to go with me. And I had sports talk radio on the entire time. He's like, do you do this all day? I said, yeah. So I just had it on in the background. We're talking a little bit at the same time. He says, this is ridiculous. I said, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, it's funny because like when I worked at TGI Fridays years and years ago, and I remember working in the kitchen a shift, and they had it on KFAN, and everybody's yelling and screaming, and all of a sudden something came out on KFAN that was interesting, and the whole plot, wait, and everybody's like listening, and it was, kind of a sports thing. I think I had to do with the Vikings and injury status or something like that, but it was hilarious because you could just, go on autopilot and not even think about it. But as soon as a key word came up, you were like snapped right to it and go, wait a sec, I gotta listen to this.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Sports radio is a weird animal, but I've been doing it now for 20 some years, 30 years, I guess, if you include the time in Denver. And even before that at the Fan, before they moved here at West End, as a matter of fact, they too are in St. Louis Park, but just classic names in radio that I've worked with on air and then off the air. There's some great people that helped me get my start in this business and that I still have contact with to this day.
Well, Patrick, you said that when you're on the radio, it's a lot more cutthroat because you did 20 some years. And did you say the lifespan of a radio DJ is a lot less?
I've got an answer for that too. You go first, Patrick, but I think you go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say I had a 25-year from 1993 to 2016 was, 25 years maybe. Well, if you go 1991 when I started Brown for radio, that's into 2016. So I'd call that a 25-year career. And that's getting up there. 14 years at one station. That's unheard of nowadays.
Oh, okay.
But I think Kevin's got probably a little bit more stability.
That's the thing. Working in radio for a radio station is a lot different than working in radio for a hockey team, for example, or a professional franchise. Working for a radio station, I mean, I've seen the ugliness that is working for corporate radio, and it isn't easy. And to survive that, I've seen some ugly separations throughout the course of my tenure, and it's because I'm kind of on the periphery. I'm not in the trenches like some of these folks that work for KFAN, that work for WCCO, that work for KSTP, KDWB. They're working for iHeartRadio or Odyssey or whatever it is, and they answer to people who aren't even local. And that to me is part of the business that really sucks. Because the loyalty isn't there. You're not answering to the people who you see on a day basis. You're answering to the folks that are 10 steps above them. And that's where the loyalty has been sliced in this business. Well, and I will never work for radio again and for a radio station. I'll work for a team. It's just, I can't tell you how it is night and day. It's phenomenal.
Well, and it's weird because, when you look at some of the stuff like with Patrick, it was kind of goofy. I mean, the more risque and crazy you were, the more they gobbled it up. But if you did that stuff on WCCO, they would be handing you a box with your stuff in it. It just seems like it all depends on what you're doing and what you're selling, basically.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. I don't think Patrick would have survived very long at WCCO, for example. I don't think he would have taken a job there.
Oh my God!
And I was fortunate to work in a what it's kind of a golden age for me anyway. Is through about 2008. Radio was kind of a big deal, especially the format I was in with Active Rock. I mean, you had Limp Bizkit and Korn and this huge, heavy rock wave.
Biscuit and corn. That sounds like breakfast.
And it was like I got to go to a concert, show up shitty the next day, and it was like street cred on the radio. And my boss would be like, "Oh, you still stink like booze." Like, yeah, go in there and print. He used to call it print cash, which meant get ratings. So Patrick's in there printing cash today.
Well, which is great because what was it, the panty rate of 98?
Oh God,
yeah,
no!
I mean, that is like the most classic thing.
Gross.
I think a radio station ever did. No,
State Fair girls come in and hand over their panties. We stick them on the walls.
Did you sniff them?
I mean, like people were still talking about it. Patrick mentioned that like a few episodes ago, and there's people that are continually talking about that. Going, those are the greatest days of radio when it came to a rock
Patrick,
radio station.
Did you do a sniff test?
No.
At the state fair.
No. Ew.
Yeah, but it's so funny.
Boy.
The whole advent of social media and cell phones took everything away.
Yep.
You can't do anything risky anymore because it's going to be online.
Well, somebody will be offended. I mean, back in '98, I mean,
it doesn't matter if you're offended.
People were happy to be offended. I mean, it was like, oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh
right.
yeah. They're happy that they were offended. Now it's like, oh my God, you opened your mouth.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And now it's the golden age of venues like this, like the podcast. You can get away with anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can push the boundaries as far as you want. You can't do that on. I certainly couldn't do that in a wild broadcast. I wouldn't do it hosting on KFAN, and you won't hear it on terrestrial radio. But you can push the limits on a podcast, and that's what's you're seeing the glory.
It's right, and that's the difference. I mean, for you guys, Patrick doing this podcast is kind of like natural for him. So I mean, this is just kind of, this is up his alley. But there's a little bit more freedom of doing this. I mean, we have a potty mouth here and there, and some of the subjects get a little risque, but there's a lot more freedom doing stuff like this.
What I like about this is I thought one of my weaknesses when I was in radio was interviews. And oh my God, I got to interview Ozzy, Dave Grohl, like just mountaintop rock stars. And I just, I would just freeze. I wouldn't know anything. And we didn't have the internet like we do today. Like if I had show prep today, back in 2005, like we do today, like the access for information, it would have been so much better. But I had to like literally subscribe to magazines and go to the store and read, and all that stuff. But I'm trying to do better interviews, and I think I'm okay at it. But Kevin, your job is like interview intensive, right? Like, did that come naturally, or was there a learning curve?
There's certainly a learning curve. I think, a lot of the experience that I had, interning at KFAN, that was more behind the scenes, and that's where I realized that I really do like the behind the scenes stuff. The on-air stuff kind of happened naturally once I got to Minnesota, back again with the Minnesota Wild, and I was kind of thrust into that role. I didn't fight it. It was one of those deals where I worked with Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed for a number of years. Wow. And when we first started, Bob Kurtz didn't want anything to do with anything that had anything to do with the post-game show. He wanted to be on the bus the minute the game was over. He was going down those steps and he was getting out of there. And so someone had to host the post-game show. And again, rewinding a little bit, first of all, I had to convince the Wild that they needed someone in my role for the broadcast, basically to produce the broadcast, get it out to affiliates, set up the radio network, all that stuff. So then fast forward to we get into on the air that first year, Bob's fighting tooth and nail about doing anything with the post-game show. He wants to be on the bus. He's old school. That's the way they did it. And he also, had a ton of time in the league and in the profession. He didn't want to be bothered with that stuff. So someone had to take on that role. I said, well, I think I can do it. We had to get okay from WCCO. The Wild took it on. And so it was fine. It evolved over now 26 years into what it is, but it certainly wasn't like that at the beginning. But a lot of it was talking to players, talking to coaches around the area, talking to people in youth hockey. And it's something that you figure out. You either
that's become a big part of it, though. I mean, I remember years ago, I'd watch the games. I mean, I'm a huge Habs fan.
Yeah,
the Canadians, and watch. As soon as the game's over, turn it off. And now it's like, no, I watched. I want to hear the commentary at the end because I want to hear what's going on. It's become a really big thing. Huge. It sounds like you were like on the apex of kind of making that happen.
Well, with our broadcast, it was, the best thing that we had going for us, especially with the Wild post game shows for the first decade of the Minnesota Wild, we had head coach Jacques Lemaire. And so whatever you want to do with the post game show,
the man,
that had nothing to do with me, but I would toss.
Why was it Jacques Lemaire?
Yeah. I tossed to him in the post game show and he would recap the game and he'd have just the funniest line. So the post-game show was a lot of just getting it to Jacques, and that was the best part about it. I just to me, the Mount Rushmore of Minnesota Wild hockey. Pick three other names, but Jacques Lemaire is number one on that list. Yeah. He's the George Washington.
Jacques Lemaire just you'd lose 5-2 or something, and he'd be like, "Well, this is really bad. I don't know. I don't even know what he sounds like." But, Gaborik, he just don't want to play defense, so I guess we lose. Yeah, like he would just call people out. Right?
Whatever. Gaborik, he'd call Marianne, and I don't know if it was or if that was just his French accent. But he'd say, "Oh, Marianne, he never did back check," and he would call him out. He called out Brent Burns. Brent Burns is going to be in the Hall of Fame. 1,500 games, about 1,000 of them have been consecutively. When he started in Minnesota, they drafted him in 2003, I think it was. He was a forward, and now he's back there on the blue line, and he's still playing. He's got to be 40-some years old, but it's incredible to watch the trajectory of some of these careers.
Patrick, speaking of careers, Patrick, how come you didn't get into sports radio, and why? Well,
I might have had some Kevin Falness envy. I mean, don't get me wrong. My first radio job was at WDOR in Sturgeon Bay, and it was Dora County, Wisconsin, right in the middle of Packerland. But the part of that gig, so as Kevin goes to Colorado, I'm in Wisconsin, but I got to do color on high school football games on Friday nights. I got to do some baseball, and then we were also an affiliate of Milwaukee Brewers baseball and pretty much Badger football and some other things. So I was board opping sports games, and I was also doing some color. And
so you were all right. You were in the mix too, though. Right before you turned into a Mohawk metalhead.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I loved it. I wish I could. I mean, there's cassette tapes of me with the Vikings game turned down on my black and white TV. I'm probably 11 years old, sitting in my bedroom. With the microphone and the little cassette player thing,
naked.
The little rectangle ones. I'm
lights off.
He's calling 7-Eleven.
I mean, if we're going to paint a picture, let's paint a picture.
Okay. Got me. But no, it was always part of what I wanted to do. He was under the blanket with the
flashlight.
That's probably how you got your job at 93X. I was in earlier, but now I'm at home in the dark. my clothes off and I'm thinking about you.
Exactly. That's how it starts, though. I mean, and I'm sure the same thing with no. A lot of things start like that. But going to Brown, they were cultivating you for small town Iowa, small town Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota. They weren't getting you ready for 93X or KFAN. They were, and that's when quick story. When I was done with my schooling at Brown, they had a spot for me, I think in some city in Iowa, and I was going to be a DJ, I think it was country music. I assume I'd read the weather. Who knows what I would have ended up doing. And I went back to KFN and I was excited about it. I said, I have a job. And this is after working there, not only doing the internship, but then I ended up working like overnights with some other good names. Jeff Dubé was one of them that I worked with overnights and some more classic names. But regardless, I told him, I'm pretty excited. I got a job in Iowa, and I think I'm going to take him up on this. I got to leave you guys. Here's my 2 weeks notice. Thanks for everything. It's been awesome. And the guy that was the program director at that time, his name is Jack Roberts, rest in peace. I told the guy that ended up hiring me in Denver, he said, you can't let him go to Iowa. You got to take him with you to Denver at this new all sports station that they were starting in Denver, Colorado. And that's how I ended up in Denver. Eventually ended up back in Minnesota working in the National Hockey League with the Minnesota Wild. So it's weird how things happen. Those connections that you make that you don't think make a difference. They sure as hell do.
They do.
And you don't burn bridges.
And did you, oh God, it was on my, was that the first year the Avalanche came from Quebec?
So when
the startup of this,
the guy that I was working for, so his name is Tim Spence, and I still owe him a debt of gratitude. He was the executive producer of Minnesota Vikings football. He took the job to start up this all sports station in Denver, which is still around. KKFN was 950 AM. Now it's 104.3 FM. He started up this all sports station knowing full well at that time they were getting the Nuggets as they were going to be the flagship of Denver Nuggets basketball, but they were also going to get the Colorado Avalanche when they moved from Quebec. He didn't tell me any of that. So I went and got my shitty little studio apartment in Aurora, Colorado. And then I found out, and then it was like a dream come true. I was working with some awesome names there too. Awesome names in Minnesota. Some of the guys I worked with in Denver, Dougmo, Dan Issel, Woody Page, just classic names too. Even if you're not from Minnesota, if you're not from Denver, you'd know those names. But that's how I ended up in Denver because of the just the way things work in this business. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I was at 93X and they hired this new gal for sales, and her name was Janelle.
Yeah,
and I was talking
lived with
about
her.
St. Louis Park or something.
What,
and then
you lived with her?
That's
Kevin
a different
Falness?
story.
Kevin Falness? It turns out
let's hear that story.
It's not as fun as you think. Now the guy's her ex-fiance, his name is Mark Mosier, the play-by-play voice of the Colorado Avalanche. When I was in my younger years, we had a 5-person place, like a townhome in Denver that we ended up living at. Him and his ex-fiance were there that Patrick's talking about. Plus there was 2 other buddies of mine. So it's like 5 or 6 of us in this, basically a bachelor pad. I don't know how she survived in it, but she did. It was relatively close to this station.
Like, so Janelle was like, just raves about Kevin and he's awesome. And then I knew somebody else from somewhere and they had known you from Colorado too. And it's like, I'm in Minnesota at 93X and your reputation is in my building in my ears. And I'm like,
that's radio.
Like,
that's, you know what? And if I was a douchebag, they would have told you, and I probably wouldn't have ended up back in Minnesota. And that ultimately was, I wouldn't say it was my goal. I loved Denver. I loved Colorado and I loved everything about being out there, but it's not home. And to be able to move back to Minnesota, stay in radio, and I can work in the National Hockey League for this new team started up from scratch. That's it checked all the boxes
for you. Yeah, and that's my next pivot. So how do you go from Colorado to, oh shit, Minnesota's got a team and I got to get back there and do this for a living? Because it's probably your dream gig. It's my dream gig, for crying out loud. But you're working your dream gig. How did that just like did you have connections, or you probably had to just like over that one.
The team started in 2000, officially took the ice in 2000. I heard about it as early as 96, and then from 96 to basically 99, I hammered at the time email wasn't a big thing, but I found emails, I found phone numbers, And then I worked my, sources, folks that might have a connection, and it all transpired. A couple of the people that I talked to before even the year 2000 are still with the organization. I remember talking to them clear as day. The guy that ended up hiring me, I ended up calling him at his house one night. He answered the phone, and I gave him my sales pitch, and that landed. And it happened to be that he was a former roommate in college with the play-by-play voice of the Denver Nuggets, who I worked with a lot, busted my ass for this guy.
There we go.
And he laid the groundwork talking to him. And I really think that's all it took, is that my motivation to get back to Minnesota, the fact that I had a hockey background, and that this guy stood up for me with this guy, I think paved the road. So it was a weird, you couldn't draw that type of blueprint, but it worked for me. So
wow.
Here we are.
Did you get the gig and go, oh shit?
Well, I don't think they knew, because like the first couple of times,
because the pressure.
I interviewed, his name is Bill Robertson, not with the Wild anymore. And I interviewed under the guy underneath him, and Patrick O'Connor, also not with the Wild anymore. But at the time, I had to tell them that they need this position. They didn't think they did. And in working with the Colorado Avalanche, even though I didn't work for the Avalanche, we carried their games on our station. I knew what it took to put on a broadcast, and I was confident that I could bring that knowledge to the Wild. I had to present that to them. I had to sell myself to them. Yeah. I was a contracted employee for, I think, till December of 2000. They brought me on full time, and I've been there since. I think still.
So you were kind of like, I'm going to structure in between periods. We're going to do this, this, and this. We'll do.
I gave them a full format. I told them everything that needed to happen, and God bless them, they didn't meddle then, and they haven't meddled since. My goal for them has always been, whatever happens with radio, you don't have to worry about it. If something goes wrong, I'll handle it. If there's a problem, I'll handle it. Just worry about the billion other things on your plate. Radio's taken care of. So my goal is always to stay under the radar. If I'm up here, then I'm causing problems. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be just doing my job and making sure it's worked. It's been and the best part about it is there's, on any given night, there's anywhere from 3 to 5 of us. And it's just a happy little family. We do our thing, get in, get out, and we have some fun with it.
That's great. I mean, I don't know if it's the water in St. Louis Park, but when I moved to Sacramento, I interviewed for a position, and I actually got it here as an assistant program director at an alternative radio station. But the station here shared the same consultant as the one in 93X in Minneapolis. So when I'm interviewing with this very intense operations manager, he was like, I did a lot of research, and I called your old boss, and then I talked to the consultant, and the consultant didn't even know who you were. So why is that? And I looked at him and I said, because I'm the only one with integrity that flew under the radar and didn't make a noise. I showed up. I did my job. Yep. I had solid ratings. I was consistent. Anything that station needed, I did. Remy Maxwell was the afternoon guy, and the half-ass morning show was the morning show. I was the glue in between. And my boss was like, oh, okay.
And little did they know.
Yeah. but here, but it's like Kevin, his work philosophy sounds very similar to mine. Yeah. Do your bit, do it solid, be, have integrity about it,
and be a dickhead.
And get things done. If you're making noise, you're that high ego maintenance guy that a lot of people don't want to deal with. Yep. So, yeah.
So when you're in that, Patrick, okay, well, first of all, a couple of questions I have. It seems like, do they tell you this in school when you're at Brown, that if you get a job in this field, you are going to move? Because it seems like the first thing that both you guys did was move. Right. Yeah. It's like you're going to move.
They
right?
tell you you're not going to go to KQ on your first day at work.
Yeah. But you're going to move to another state. You're going to move to a whole nother place. That was one, but you pivoted out of radio, right? I mean,
what?
Yeah, for a minute.
Eventually.
Well, you're not what you're doing right now. You're not in radio anymore.
Right. But he's still in a media kind of profession, but not radio.
Well, yeah, no, but even back in the day, I did take the job in Wisconsin, and I did make $5 an hour, and I did give it a year and a half. Uh-huh. And a friend of mine had passed away, so I came back for a funeral, and the gas station that I used to work at as a teenager said, "We're looking for an assistant manager. I'll pay you $10 an hour." And this is in 1990.
Yeah, that's a lot of money back then. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I was making $5 at the radio station. I'm like, I've given it a year and a half. I called Mae Young. I said, can I intern, get my foot in the door back at KQ? Because I interned with her when I was going to Brown. So she said, yeah, I'm doing overnights though. And I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'll come there at 2 a.m. So,
I'll bring the beer.
I did that. I came back and I worked at a gas station and I interned and I did that. And then I ended up interning with Wally Walker. And then I got to, I'm going in there at 9 a.m. and Tom Bernard walks by me in the hallway and I'm like, oh my God,
What?
And so kind of like Kevin's experience, where I'm just with these huge Gelfand and Passolt and Sansevier and Tony Lee and Terry Train. And by the way, she will not answer my emails. So Terry, I'm looking at you. You owe me one. I have a Terry Train story I can tell you guys a little bit later. But my point was like, yeah, I took a break because I was like, I'm better off interning in Minneapolis than I am just chewing time away in Podunk, Wisconsin right now. And it was just time to move.
So, interesting. So you guys both, you traveled, how many places have you traveled for?
So I started in Minneapolis. I worked in Denver for 5 years, came back for the Wild in 2000, and I panicked during the first work stoppage in 2005. I was laid off. I was basically told, we'll bring you back when the work stoppage ends, but we don't know when that'll be. I'm a younger guy at that point. Certainly, what is that? 20 years ago? I was much younger than I am now. Breaking news. Yeah. And I panicked and I ended up, Todd Viwicki, also on the Mount Rushmore of Minnesota Wild people in the history of the franchise, was the president of the Wild to start, ended up moving to Seattle and became the president of the Seattle Seahawks. And I don't know, I have a feeling Kurtz and Reed had something to do with it, but he hired me to come to Seattle and I ended up working there for
That's weird.
What ended up being 3 months.
Yeah.
Because the work stoppage ended, I got the itch and I said, Todd, I think I got to go back to Minnesota. He goes, yeah, I get it. And
yeah.
Well, it kind of seems that like me, myself, when I look for jobs, I go to a specific company and I look for a specific job doing at that company, where it seems like the stories that Patrick has said, you kind of fall into these things by meeting people and doing different things. You're just like, oh, this is an opportunity here. Somebody's talked about you there. So Patrick gets a phone call. This is Minnesota Wild. Do you want to come back to Minnesota because we've been watching your podcast and we think you'd be a good voice for Patrick? Would you move back to Minnesota?
No, I would not.
No, he just ends up at the bar.
You really wouldn't? You wouldn't move back to Minnesota, given the opportunity?
I mean, if I could hang out with you if I could hang out with you in St. Louis Park,
I got enough
center, and then okay.
They would have
what's the name of the brewery? What's the name of the brewery again?
Steel Toe.
Steel Toe. Okay, yeah, if I could hang out at Steel Toe.
Steel Toe Park Tavern.
I think I've told the story before, but like I was doing cold call telemarketing while I was interning for Wally Walker. And
what were you
one day
selling?
I walked in. It was the
vacuum cleaners
fundraising. It was the fundraising for the firefighters.
Oh,
so it was like one of those send us $15 and whatever. A lot of people thought it was a scam. I don't know. I made a commission, so maybe I did scam people up, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, I walked in one day and I just went, fuck, I can't do this. And I just said I quit and I left and I got home and Wade Linder was calling me from X105 because they had just purchased the 105.1 frequency and they wanted to, he's like, hey, I got your name from KQ. Dave Hamilton speaks good things about you. And can you audition tomorrow night from midnight till 6? And I'm like, sure. But I literally had quit my shitty job and then the phone was ringing 6 hours later. It was just friggin' weird. But a lot of that stuff in the entertainment interviews we've had, Kevin, a lot of that stuff just has kind of happened.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's again, I can't stress enough in this profession for sure. But I think in any walk of life, it's a good motto. Don't burn bridges. If I would have burned bridges, I mean, and I've had plenty of opportunities where someone has screwed me over or done me dirty. But if you burn that bridge, your paths are going to cross, especially in radio.
Karma.
I think it goes for just about anything you're in. But I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand in radio. Be a good person. Don't be a dickhead. Don't burn bridges, and it'll take you.
And it doesn't matter what it's about. Even
we're talking about you, Jay. Talking about you, Jay. Okay, that's an inside joke.
Damn it, Saber.
What?
Yeah, no.
What?
No, I don't want to interrupt the day in the life, but this is fantastic. These are outstanding.
Yeah, this is why we drink this.
Ooh, those things are good. So, Kevin, you said you got kids that play hockey.
I do.
Oh.
You got 3 boys, right?
I got 3 boys, and we've done the test. A lot of them, 2 of them look a lot like me. One of them's like my wife's side of the family, but I'm pretty sure all 3 are mine. I've got
He
a
looks like
16.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, right. 16. What does that mean?
I don't know.
16.
You are the father.
Yeah, right. So I've got a junior. It'll be a junior. We got school starting here in the next week.
Jesus, really?
Junior
in high school.
In high
What?
school.
Wow.
A
feel so
14-year-old, which would make him a freshman. So they'll both be in the same school. No, maybe I think he's a freshman. Yeah, freshman and a junior. So he's 14, and then I got a soon-to-be 12-year-old. He'll be 12.
All right, but here's the
Wow.
question. What position do they play in hockey?
I'm glad that was the question and not where I thought you were going. My oldest is a forward,
Mhm.
prefers to be the wing. My middle one is a center, 100%.
Yeah.
And really good. I mean, they're both very good. My oldest is 6'3". I mean, he's pushing
Oh.
6'4". He's a big
Nice.
kid, and he's relatively lean. The middle one is a little bit shorter, probably going up on 6. All 3 of them are taller than my
Well,
wife.
you're not exactly a small,
Yeah.
short guy.
No,
you
I know,
You're-
but my middle one is super thin. I mean, he's a rail, and then my youngest doesn't want anything to do with hockey. We're trying to get him into golf. He's playing soccer. He's doing theater. And I've never been that guy, but he loves that type of stuff. So they're all 3 very different, loving having fun.
How
So
tall are you?
I'd say 6 foot,
Oh,
6-ish.
you're short.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. All 3 of them. Even my middle one was supposed to be the runt of all 3 of them. He's surpassed my wife for sure. He's got to be 5'10". So that's crazy.
So why hockey? What did they just?
I don't know. They fought it.
Or
They fought it
did you
tooth
push
and
it?
nail. All I pushed was learning to skate. Same thing I'm doing now with golf. I'm just telling you, it's a life thing, especially you're living in Minnesota. You got to know how to golf. You got to know how to swim, and you got to know how to skate. And where it goes from there is up to you.
Yep.
And 2 of them really took to it. They fought it. I remember my first one, who's now a junior in high school, fought it tooth and nail, got on the ice, did not like it, sat there and cried about it. But now he skates like the wind.
Yeah.
Same thing with the middle one. He ended up picking up. The third one did the same thing, had a big old tantrum, and we haven't pushed it since. I think he's burned out with it because he's had to watch his brothers play a lot of hockey. My job is in hockey. He's watching a lot of hockey. I think he's just said bleep hockey. He's had enough.
Well, so there's kids.
Yeah.
Kids either like team sports or they like individual sports. So, you'll have a mixture of both of those.
Yeah.
And when you have the team sports ones, like I was an individual guy, even though I played team sports, I didn't
Really?
know how to I didn't know how to dynamically work with other people. Where when I was on my own,
So what is an individual? Like, are we talking
golf, swimming,
Okay.
those are individual things. Even though you're on a team, you're just it's not a full competitive thing.
Yep.
Like golf and so forth. Martial arts would be a
Sure.
good one. Or theater.
Yep.
The that's a different dynamic. But when he's probably pretty artistic.
Yep.
And he probably sings. Does he do any music or anything like that?
Yeah. He's
Yep.
not a great singer, but he
Yeah.
tries.
Yeah. So that's a
Like
whole
the other
different,
kids aren't great skaters. They try.
yeah. But those are whole different interests, and you get those.
Yeah.
You'll have that.
It's fun. It's fun to watch them. I mean, they're all super young. I mean, my junior is 16. But watching the 11-year-old become a 12-year-old and deciding what he wants to do with, outside of playing these Oculus and his, iPads and looking at his phone.
Well, it's different for you, Stacy, because you did theater, and if anybody made fun of you, you would kill them.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, my brother was he was a team sports guy, and then I was the individual. Even though I tried to play basketball, I tried to play baseball. I did those things, but I eventually went into martial arts, and I danced. I did theater, and
Sure.
and
I-
even
Stacy was a
gymnastics.
good dancer, I heard.
Yeah, did fantastic.
I'll have to see it to believe it. Let's make this podcast.
We met him at the Mermaid,
Okay.
the Mermaid Bar, like in Mounds View.
That's how he picked up chicks.
And he's doing the break dance and stuff, and we're watching. It's like, how does this guy? How?
Right?
And that
Yeah.
movement evolved into martial arts, and it started a roller skating, then it went break dancing,
Wow.
then it went in the club dancing.
I know, right?
When the martial
Jeez.
arts. So
I know.
yeah.
Would you show off your wares at the roller gardens in St. Louis?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Again, no longer a thing, but
Great skate. I still
oh.
skate once in a while up at Cheap Skate, but
cheapskate.
but the dancing, because Great Skate had the big dance floors in the middle.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We used to do all that
Guys
stuff.
yank me in the middle all the time.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, Gene lived out in St. Louis Park too. So
No,
Yeah, great.
Is the roller garden still there?
It is not.
No.
The building is there.
It's a
The
gymnastic.
dinosaur is gone, and it's gymnastics.
I was
or
going to ask
something
where
in
the
there.
dinosaur went. Is it in someone's
Last
basement?
time, so when my kids were
Some
younger, we did do
Frankie
I think we
on
went to
top
a
of his
birthday
garage.
party there. The dinosaur was inside the building, but I'm guessing it's gone now. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a big gymnastics studio, isn't it?
I don't know what they do in there, but
I
it
think
sounds
it's
great.
gymnastics. Yeah.
Right.
right on. Do you ever get on the ice with your kids? You coach, you volunteer at practice.
I'm not
you
reffing
fuck around
games.
a little bit.
I've done the father-son stuff, and live in Minnesota and jump on the rink. My folks still live on in the house where I grew up, and there's a rink directly in their backyard at Birchwood not Ice Arena. Birchwood is the park behind their house, and we are a block and a half from there. So we'll walk down there at least 4 or 5 times a year. But
That's awesome.
there's rinks everywhere, so you can't help but go on a rink. So that's the amount of my skating these days. I'm not.
well, I understand that because I didn't have a choice. I grew up across the street
Yep.
from Sitzer Park, which was the outdoor hockey rink that all the good players went, whether they were like Mounds View, Iron. I mean, they all went there. So I didn't have a choice. My friends skated, so I had to skate, and I learned how to skate, and then I became a pretty good skater, and that was it. And then it was
Who's the big deal NHLer from your town? I forget.
we had they're probably our best player that we ever saw was a guy named Pat Martin.
Oliver Moore is a current player who's signed by Chicago. He was
Oliver
born
Moore,
in
former
2005.
Gopher, very good player.
But we had the Paradise boys.
There was somebody.
come through. Yeah.
Yeah, there was somebody.
And I remember the youngest Paradise kid, his dad cut the regular hockey stick down to where it was just as long on the bottom as it was up the shaft there.
my.
So, and he was probably, 3 feet tall at the time. And he would come out and play with, the bigger kids, and that kid played great when he was like 5 years old.
Wow.
And it was crazy. We're watching this kid play and we're like going, that kid's going to be pro.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin can identify with this. So I played Scotty Rasmussen was about a year older than us, I think.
Still very good friends with him. He's 1 year older than
Are you?
89.
Yeah. So he graduated. So I was a bantam at as I went into my first year of bantams, he was leaving his second year of bantams. So, but I used to go to Oak Hill Park, and it would be like Evers and the Rasmussens and Eckers and all sorts of these, childhood friends that we had. But little Eric Rasmussen was playing with his older brother, Scotty, and Eric graduated in 94, I want to say, right?
He was in 8th grade when we were a senior. And he was playing varsity.
Exactly. And I think he made varsity in 9th grade or 8th grade.
I think he did
whatever.
8th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew he was going to be good because I would be there and I'd be playing goalie, but his brother and everybody that was 5 years older than him just beat the shit out of him, tripped him, elbowed him, checked him, and he had to get fucking good quick as a kid. And so he ended up getting drafted and played 9 years in the NHL.
No
7th
shit.
overall by the Buffalo Sabres.
Wow.
Yes.
What?
So Mounds View High School.
And I remember doing a break with Randy Shaver one morning, and it was Rasmussen never scored, but you had to find a lane in that era that he played in. So he wasn't a goon, but he was just a physical fourth liner.
He was a setup guy.
He took a slap shot and shattered glass. And it's the last time I've seen glass shatter behind a goalie. And I was talking to Randy Shaver about it in a 93X morning. I'm like, that's Rasmussen. I saw that kid at Oak Hill Park in 1982, It was fun.
Well, that was
fun
like,
to watch that guy.
I can completely relate to that because when I played in Mounds View in Bantams, I was probably 5'7", and this guy named David Geist.
You were, or you still are?
No, I'm a little taller than that now, but David Geist, in 8th grade was like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
and this kid took a slap shot at the blue line and would break. I mean, goalies would duck and let it go in the net because they weren't going to get hit by it. I mean, he took a slap shot so hard when he was in 8th grade that it shattered the plexiglass behind the net. It was that, I mean,
the equipment
scary.
for goalies back then sucked. I put it on the same.
Yeah, that's it.
It was basically like pillows sewn into like a sleeve.
Yeah.
So it's Ryan McDonough.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Mounds View, and then Scott Bukestad went.
Bukestad, that was it.
Yeah,
there you go.
So those are the ones. Yeah,
thinking
but I knew it was a mix something.
There you go.
I remember. So yeah.
But I mean,
I was gonna say McCarran, but I know it's not that.
Yeah.
But I mean, anywhere like in the Twin Cities, especially in like the 5-county area, everyone, it was all hockey.
Yeah.
No matter what. You got
State of
pulled.
hockey.
We had people pulled out of Mounds View that went to Hill Murray, went to Breck.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the Totino Grace. I mean,
Rob McClanahan.
So yeah.
Then
The Olympic team.
Yep. And
You look at Neil
Oliver,
Broughton.
Oliver Moore,
Yeah, former Gopher.
and then Jim Cunningham.
Yeah.
Jim Cunningham, not a
1970s.
professional hockey player. Are we talking about Jim Cunningham, the PA guy?
No,
for the
Philadelphia
Yeah, yeah.
Flyers.
So-
Back in the
I was gonna
70s.
say,
70s. Yeah.
different Jim
So
Cunningham.
Kevin-
Gotcha.
Yep. Different Jim Cunningham. Yep.
Kevin-
We had Jim Cunningham on the show, but that was the actor.
You did have him on?
We had the
Oh,
actor.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was a Mousy
they know
guy.
Not a hockey
Yeah, he was a Mousy guy. Yeah.
hockey fan, not a hockey player.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
know
I was gonna say,
Mousy had a
Kevin's got
few.
some connections.
Yeah, there's a few ones. Yeah.
Kevin's got connections to a few of our guests because we got Jim Cunningham, right?
Yep.
We got Veronica,
Yep.
and then our actress friend, what's her name?
Jen Kelsberg.
Kelsenberg. Yeah, Jennifer Kelsenberg.
Yes.
Kels.
So Kevin, this is funny. She was a North Star cheerleader. I don't know if you remember when they had North
I
Star
do.
cheerleaders.
Yeah, right at the end.
Oh.
Wait. Where did they
Yeah,
cheer?
right at the end.
Where do they
And so
cheer?
I
On the
On the
jokingly
ice.
said, in the aisles. So I jokingly said to her, so you must have had, you must have been like the almost Mrs. Madonna. And she's like, oh, you have done research. And I'm like,
Oh,
what?
my God.
I was just kidding. Because she was like
Yeah.
She did.
cheerleading when Madonna was a rookie. And I was like, holy shit, they actually dated. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Jeez. That's great. I remember being at the America's Original Sports Bar and running into Mike Madonna. I don't think our ages are that different.
No.
I'm trying to think of when he was drafted,
no.
maybe 88. So he's probably a couple years older than us. Maybe the same. Well, regardless, I remember.
But wasn't
and
he-
he was a attraction at America's Original
Right.
Sports
But
Bar.
wasn't he like drafted right out of high school? Is that
Well, he was,
correct?
yes, number 1 overall by, of course, the Minnesota North Stars and Lou Nanny at that time. And yeah, he was.
And I mean,
So that's Brian.
for a high school player, I mean, he was a big boy to start with, but he got on the ice, and it was weird because I remember watching him play, and it was almost like he was still awkward, but his awkwardness was still so fluid, nobody could get him.
could
He would
skate,
just,
man.
He'd skate, move
his
around people. and
North
it's
Star
just
jersey
weird.
would flow in the wind.
Well, yeah, it was just so
Are
weird.
you
It's
sure
like
that wasn't gas?
No, it was.
he just
It flowed like
he-
Willie Klett's hair.
Yeah, he the way he played was just weird, but nobody could get it. I mean, he was just all of a sudden he was passing there, and players were like, "What just happened?"
This is my full circle moment, is working now with the Wild and being around people like that. I mean, Madonna's one of them, where I don't want to say I grew up watching him but I did kind of. I mean, even though we're the same age, but being around guys like Neil Broughton or Dino Cicerelli and seeing them come through the turnstiles and being, I mean, Wayne Gretzky used to coach the Arizona Coyotes. He'd come through at the time XL Energy Center. It was just amazing to have these full circle moments, to see these guys that I grew up watching in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah.
And now here they are,
Wow.
in front of me.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, you
Doing
probably
radio.
go to like some events, some charity stuff, and you see all these guys, right? Like you're
I've got many highlights working with the Wild. One of them is the Stadium Series game 2015 at then TCF Bank Stadium. That was awesome. It was the Wild versus the North Stars. They played on the next day. The previous day, it was an alumni game. It was the Minnesota North Stars and Wild alumni against the Blackhawks alumni. So it's not only Broughton, Bellows. Secor didn't show up, but
Christian,
Savard was
Giles.
there, Chelios, Bannerman.
Yeah.
I mean, just awesome names in the history of Blackhawks hockey,
Yes.
going up against, guys that I covered with the Wild, whether it be Darby Hendrickson, Wes Walls, guys like that. Don Beaupre was there. Gilles Malache, I think, played one of the nets. It was crazy. It was so much fun. Bobby Smith was there, just phenomenal. And then Dino showed up, Neil Broughton. It was just outstanding. And Madonna played. Scored a goal. I was actually able to call the game. This is why it's one of my highlights. Yeah. I called a Mike Madonna goal. I think Walsey scored a couple of goals. It was just fantastic.
Well, awesome. before the Wild, I mean, when the North Stars moved down to Dallas, we didn't have any hockey, and
no, we always had hockey.
I mean,
hockey.
Professional, no,
always had hockey.
Right. No, I'm saying we didn't have any professional hockey to watch. We got snuffed, and people were upset about it. So what did the NHL do? They brought hockey to us. And I remember working at the TGI Fridays in downtown Minneapolis, and the Rangers and the Arizona, the Coyotes, I think it was, when they first came out, did an exhibition game.
Yep.
And, we didn't know, everybody's depressed about hockey. Who cares? It's not Minnesota. But all of a sudden, all these guys start coming in, big burly guys coming in, decked like suit and ties and stuff. And here's me rolling up to one of the tables. I'm like, hey, so is there a convention in town?
Yeah.
And Brian Leach looks at me, missing teeth, goes, yeah. It's a hockey convention, eh? And we start laughing about it. These guys played their asses off against each other, got in fights, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they show up at the bar and they're hanging out together, drinking together.
That's the beauty of
And
hockey.
I'm going, this is professional wrestling on skates.
No. But professional wrestling is scripted. This isn't scripted.
But they were. It was just crazy because 1 minute they're fighting out on the ice, and the next minute they're doing shots together.
Let me give you a great example. Yeah. So, covering the Minnesota Wild, I've seen some badasses. The fighters aren't the same as they were.
The goon squads.
Certainly back when Tom Reed played in the 60s and 70s. Even in the early years of the Wild, we had some good ones. Derek Bugard is top of that list. When we talk about some of the badasses in the history of the National Hockey League, Derek Bugard is one of them. And so,
bar none.
Yeah, I mean, there's Bob Probert. You can put up whoever you want. Derek Bugard was a student of boxing. He learned how to box and he took it out on the ice, and he couldn't skate much. He wouldn't score much, but he could beat the shit out of you. So my favorite Derek Bugard story is in his time with the Minnesota Wild, which unfortunately was shorter than it could have been. And his time on earth was much shorter than it should have been. He was playing for the Wild, going up against the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks at the time, and he absolutely caved in the face of Todd Fedoruk.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
it's the
absolutely crushed him. I assume it was his right, and he just got him in the orbital bone. And
literally destroyed
his face.
Destroyed his face.
He got up and years after he would tell the story. Fast forward a few years later, they're teammates. Not only are they teammates, they're sitting next to each other in the locker room, and they ended up being best friends.
Shut the fuck up.
He caved his face in, sent him to the hospital.
Almost
who knows what lingering effects.
Right. Almost ended his career, and now they're best buds. Yeah.
Fedoruk's still working in the game. Great dude, awesome father, working for the Flyers organization. I think doing TV stuff, maybe some radio. But he was sitting next to Derek Bugard in the locker room and ended up becoming best friends like that. It didn't take any amount of time. Caved my face. We fought. You won. I lost. But still, the respect that they had for each other.
Wow.
Well, even the guy that kicked his ass.
Yeah. And that stands to reason. I mean, it was great. I mean, I had the best. It's probably the best night working as a bartender, hanging out with all these pro players. They were the coolest guys, and holy shit, did they drink?
Yeah.
Brian Leach gunned down almost a case of Amstel Light by himself. And he walked out of there sober as a judge. I mean, walked a straight line.
So Brett took all the mugs home. Mugs home. He's like, all these guys did drink from him, so we're gonna take him home. But a really quick cool story is that
DNA samples on him.
Rick Fay, my instructor, he trained some of the goon squad from the Timberwolves. Or I mean from the Wild. Yeah.
So like Boogie, John Scott?
Yeah, so he's got the hockey sticks hanging up at the studio, so they'd come into and train, cool. Teach.
I really think Boogie, I mean, I don't know if guys did it before him, but he certainly made an art form of learning how to box. And in fact, he was doing classes. At one point up in Canada, he was putting on fighting clinics to send your 16-year-old here and I'll teach you how to fight.
So Boogie, is that his name?
Derek Bugard.
Bugard. Okay, Bugard. Yeah, maybe
the boogeyman.
Yeah, Bugard. So yeah,
I can't remember who it was, but after my radio shift one day, so Dave Tuttle used to work on the KQ Morning Show, and Tuttle used to make music CDs for the Gophers to practice to. So they would come to me and be like, "Hey Patrick, give me all the God's back and all that stuff." And so I would like make them a mixed CD, and then Tuttle would bring it to Gophers practice, and they would play it in the system while they were doing their shit. Sure. So long story short, we ended up getting invited to a party, and the Gophers had like a townhome system. Like it was just like an apartment complex, and they all lived there, and it was like a party. And it's everything you expect walking into a hockey party, and
a lot of mullets,
a little mini city.
Call that waterfall hair.
And so I'm walking in, and I'm introducing the players, and then his name is escaping my mind. He was kind of a shit. He played for the Wild actually at the end of his career. I'll Google it after I'm done talking anyway. But I was kind of drunk too, and he was drunk, and I was like, "How do hockey players fight?" And he showed me you do this, and then you pull the guy, and then you got the leverage to do.
Yeah, right.
That shit. And I'm like, oh my god, the sky's parted, and like it's like you just grab a guy now, and you can just take a shirt and go like it's the rubber ball, the rubber band. You know what I'm talking about? The rubber ball, rubber band.
Punching bag.
It's that thing. It's like, oh my god, duh. That's fucking brilliant. Golden Gopher taught me how to fucking
but they
do that.
also pull the jersey, right, Patrick, over the head. Well, you gotta pull the jersey over the head.
The one thing I want to know though is that when the bruisers get in there and then they pull their helmets off, and then the smart guy leaves his on.
Can't do it anymore. Now you have to leave the helmet on, and they've got fight straps, so it keeps the jersey on.
But and it's like, the one guy pull his helmet off, the other one's smiling, he leaves his on.
Yeah.
And he just turns his head so the guy's punching his helmet.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Marcus Polino is a great example. Will fight anybody in the National Hockey League, but once you get them squared up and everybody's grabbing each other by the scruff of their collar, it's basically a hit the top of the head type of thing. The helmet.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. All they do is break fingers.
They don't care. They don't have any teeth.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm willing to lose my teeth. I'm willing to break my hand. I don't care.
Are you? Can we pontificate about the upcoming Wild season? When
pontificate. Nice word, Patrick.
Do you know Bill Guerin? And if you don't, can you get his phone number for me?
If you do,
yeah, I know him. I don't know what to compare it to. I mean, I work with Bill Guerin. I don't hang out with Bill Guerin. He's got a classier set of people to hang out with. But yeah, he's been so much fun to work with. Back in the beginning, it was Doug Risebrough. In between Doug and now Bill Guerin, there was Paul Fenton, but Doug was fantastic to work with. Billy's been, I mean, he's a guy's guy. I mean, I don't know how you lure him down here, but he'd fit right in with a podcast.
Hey, Bill, you want to come on the podcast?
He's such
a
cool
buddy
dude,
over here.
and he loves talking old school hockey.
Yeah.
He's lived it. He played it. He knows all the guys. He's got awesome stories. And just a really cool
Patrick's dream. We got to get him on here.
He's awesome.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny. It's like, what were you doing when you found out you got Quinn Hughes? And he was like, "Oh, I was in the basement making some woodcraft stuff." It's like, oh, okay. Cool.
He was making meatballs with his family for Christmas. That's a true story. Meatballs.
Yeah, he's making meatballs, and then he's also a wood craftsman. So he sent some guy a wooden cutting board or something silly once. He was talking about in an interview. I'm like,
cutting boards are
just
silly.
an everyday man.
Yeah, he's
so
a good dude, and that's right in the same line with Madonna. They're best friends. Madonna works for the organization because of Billy, and
he works for the Wild.
He does. He's like
can we get him on?
Jen.
Good luck.
Mike's back in town.
Go ahead. And
So Patrick, you need to get some numbers here.
Yeah.
You need to get some phone numbers here, Patrick.
So so it's crazy how now when you were working with the Avalanche, you were working alongside them, but not really working for them. But then when you came to Minnesota, and this has been decades long career now, you're actually in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Explain that. How did you go from kind of working, adjacent to being there and doing it and broadcasting?
So when I worked in Denver, I was working for a radio station. It would be like working for KFAN here. They carry the Wild games, but none of those guys work for the Wild. Meanwhile, in Denver, I was working for an all sports radio station. We carried the Avalanche games. I didn't work for the Avalanche, but I worked with them a lot. Right. And because I was the only real hockey guy there, I got thrown into the fire, to cover their practices. And I covered some awesome names there. It might not mean a lot to you guys, but anybody out there that's listening that knows about hockey, when the Nordique became the Avalanche, that was a good bleeping team. Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Adam Foote. They added Sandis Ozolinsh. They added Patrick Waugh. They won a Stanley Cup in '96. Wow. Ended up beating the Florida Panthers in 7 games, like 4 overtimes in the final game. It was unbelievable to be in a witness to that. So now I work for the Minnesota Wild, and I'm basically like the conduit between the Wild and radio, especially KFAN. And I do a lot of work for KFAN. I have a phenomenal relationship going back to my years in interning. The guy that basically runs the station now was the guy who was a producer back then in the name of Chad Abbott. And because of that relationship, I do a lot of fill-in hosting on shows. Abbott's
do it again.
Awesome.
Do it again, Patrick.
Abbott!
Yes. Chad Abbott's a good dude. Cut his teeth producing for Paul Allen and Jeff Dubé, and actually goes back even further than that. But now is the program director and has been there for, I'd say, probably 30 plus years.
Get a lot of
he's the guy
fans watching this. I hope you know.
Yeah. Well,
so
good. I hope so.
I did some research, by the way. The guy I was thinking about that taught me this.
Yeah.
Keith Ballard.
Ballard. Oh, yes.
Ballard. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember Keith Ballard.
Yeah. I partied with him in 2003 at the Gophers where they lived, whatever. So
you're right. Former Wild defenseman.
I was going to ask about your KFAN relationships. Like, you currently get to be on KFAN a little bit, right? Like, you do the initials game. I mean, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Heard of it. I know it's a big deal for them. And KFAN is like #1 in the ratings. And I saw that coming when I left radio in 2011 in Minneapolis. I was like, KFAN's going to be like the bomb because their personalities are top notch. Like, honestly, I'm like,
yep.
But what's it like working? I mean, all those guys.
I think the biggest thing I've got going for me in terms of working with KFAN is my proximity. I don't think it's because of my glowing personality, because of my sports knowledge. It's because I live a mile from there. I live like I can and have walked there from my house to their door. It's like 30 minutes to walk, and then to drive there. They're in the West End, so it's super easy for me to get to. And I think they know when they're doing their program password or they're doing their initials game. If anybody says no, Falness will say yes, and I will for the most part, unless it's the wild game that day. And so it's been fun. I know a lot of those guys going back to the years in '93. Common was still there in '93, or when I left in '95, I guess. I worked with Common. I worked with Chad Abbott. I worked with Dan Barrero. I've known Guardsy, and I've known a lot of those guys going back to those formative years. So it's been good. They've been good to me. I try to, it's the same thing with the Wild. If you throw me on the air, I'm going to do my thing and you won't have to worry about it. I'm not going to go on there and swear. I'm not even comfortable swearing in this situation, even though I know I can.
Well, you're probably trained. You're probably trained not to.
There's a button in the back of my head that says, don't push that button.
Don't do it.
But I keep saying bleeping this and bleeping that. So I don't, I try
probably a good thing.
I'll do it for you.
Okay, good.
But that's the fun part of being at a bar. And I remember a while back, we were at this bar down the street. It was the hole in the wall. It's called the 5-hole now, but back then it was called the Dive.
Okay.
The dive down the street. We're sitting at the bar and this guy's sitting next to us and the hockey game is playing on the TV. And I was talking to Gene, and my dad always talked about Murray Wilson.
Okay.
From the Canadians.
Yeah.
Got 5 Stanley Cup rings from the Canadians.
Jeez.
And his brother played for the Bruins. I mean, they were like hockey phenom.
Wow.
And I remember I'm like, talking about it. And this guy next to me is like, you know who Murray Wilson is? And I'm like, yeah, doesn't everybody? He's like, no. He goes, that's like 70s old school hockey.
Yeah.
And we're talking, he's talking about the North Stars and stuff like that. He goes, I want to give a buddy of mine a call because he's not going to believe that you knew who the hell Murray Wilson was. And I'm like, looking at him like, you don't need to call your buddy. I'm just having a drink and buy him a drink and stuff. But he calls his buddy and he goes, hey, Brian. He goes, I'm sitting next to a guy that knows Murray Wilson. And you hear this guy laughing his ass off. He goes, that was my hero growing up. And I'm like, yeah, my dad thought he was one of the, best players. And, I loved watching hockey because of that. And he goes, me too. Watching that guy was something great. And I became a hockey player too, for the Minnesota North Stars.
Oh my goodness.
It was Brian Bellows that he called. So so here I am. I'm talking to Brian frickin' Bellows. He's going, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And he's saying the same thing going, yeah, it was hilarious because this guy was like, how do you know that? And calls him in,
So Kevin, you're a golfer. You're a very good golfer. Well, I don't
really.
I wouldn't say I'm a very good golfer. No, let's not get carried away. I like
you're
to
going to
golf.
be humble about it. You're going to say, oh,
He
no,
likes
no,
to
no.
golf.
Wait,
He's good.
You golf under 100?
Yes.
Oh, then you're
Yes.
good.
If that makes me a good golfer, then I'm great.
What's
So
your lowest
you're an
round? What's your
Alice
lowest
Cooper
round?
golfer.
What's your
It's
best
70
score?
something.
My best score, I mean, this paints the jury.
60 something at
75. The day that I shot a hole in one.
Well, it doesn't matter, but still,
2004.
if you're shooting under 80,
Here we
you're a
go.
freaking good golfer.
Anytime I break 90, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
I shoot a 70 consistently, but that's on a fucking par 9.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or I mean a 9 hole.
Yeah.
9 hole. Yeah.
I will say this because of my job, it frees up my summers. So I used to play a lot of hockey.
I'm a pitcher. It freed up my summers, and I still suck
Exactly.
ass.
Well, here's the problem. I got married, and then I had 3 kids, and she's got 4 dogs. So it really has come
Now,
into my golf.
do your kids golf?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
My
Well, I mean, that's kind of funny because I mean, that's like the Alice Cooper story. I mean, when he quit playing,
Yeah.
he had to do something so he wouldn't go back to drugs and alcohol. And his wife said he gave up one vice for another. And he's such a good scratch golfer that they say that he could be a pro golfer.
Oh,
So I'm sure.
He likes hunting.
And he says, oh no, I'm not that good. And everybody's like, yeah.
But
And
let's
so
be
Patrick
clear.
is saying, yeah, he is.
No one's going to confuse me for a scratch golfer. I'm happy if I break 90. I do very much.
75. Are you kidding me?
Once.
Holy smokes.
And
That means you're doing
If
80
I
like
did-
5 times.
If I did 75 in the first
I know.
3 holes, I would be doing good for myself.
Listen to me. Listen, I'm not a good golfer. I like to golf. I enjoy going
you can
out
say
there.
I'm an okay golfer.
When I was younger, before I was married with kids, I got out 50 times a summer. Now I'm lucky if I get out there 5 times. When I shot the 75, it was outstanding because we would go up north with my cousins all the time. So I'm playing with my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. She was riding along. My uncle, 2 cousins, my wife was there, and one
that
of their
was
kids.
in Blaine when you were playing mini golf.
Nope, this was an actual golf course. It was called Fiddlesticks, but don't let the name fool you. It was a legitimate 18-hole course. You can go ahead and Google it.
Okay.
But that's where I shot my hole in one. It's not only that I shot a hole in one, I shot a 35 on the front. I shot a 75 for the whole round. But on my hole in one, my goddamn uncle was there. My 2 goddamn cousins were there. And my wife, future wife, was there. So they all witnessed it. So they all tell me about how they're going to get their hole in one. They're going to rub it in my face. I said, I don't care. I won't be there. There's no chance I'm ever going to golf with you again.
You got it first. It's
So
like, oh,
I got it first, and they were there. So
But the thing is, you have 3 kids, so you got 3 holes in one.
Ba-dum-bum. Yeah.
Patrick, where you at? Patrick, where you
Well,
at? Patrick?
Patrick's got 2 holes in
So
one.
that was a par 3, obviously.
it was a par 3.
It was a par
167 yards, July 3rd,
That's-
2004.
Okay, so let's.
And July 3rd, every year I throw it in their face.
Okay, so let me ask you
So
this.
I'm
Okay,
not gonna say he's a good golfer, but he's a very avid. So
So-
Kevin has an app, and he's been keeping track of every course.
How do you know that?
We
stalker
together in Sacramento 5 years ago, and you showed me the goddamn app, and you paid it like $10,000.
I do. I don't know why, but I started once I left Denver and I came back to Minnesota. Every round of golf, and most of them are hole by hole. I keep track of every score. It's fairwayfiles.com. There's nothing special about it. I don't even pay $1 for it. But every round since 2000 till today, I just played 2 days ago. I've entered every round. So I know where I played, how many rounds, what I shot on any score.
Okay, so let's talk about the feeling here, because I golf too and I suck, but I know that when you hit the ball, there's a certain feeling that you go, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Right. So you hit it and then you're watching it. And then walk us through the excitement
of the hole in one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's like,
that's a big deal.
So you're watching it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So what I remember about it,
idea
again,
what that feels like.
this is going back 22 years, right? We're at 2026.
Yeah.
So we're going back a long ways. What I remember about it, it hit in the front of the green and it rolled towards the cup. I was pretty sure it went in. And I remember looking at everyone else in the group and saying,
I can't see my ball.
It couldn't be what I just thought. And everyone's, no, it's probably sitting right behind the, and it's a par 3. It was relatively flat. I didn't see the ball. And I walked up there and I said, bleep you, bleep you, bleep you. And I have to every day since. My uncle, unfortunately, has passed away. My 2 cousins, they'll hear about it till the end of days for them.
Your wife was like, I'm going to marry him.
That's your looter.
Way back then, your mullet was flowing in the hair and the sunshine.
I had the Patrick Olsen right down the middle. Luke Skywalker.
So it hit in the front of the green, you said.
Yeah. And
how far did it roll? Was it like a 10 yard, 20 yard?
It was probably 20 yards.
20
They'll
yards?
tell you it hit off a gopher and off a sprinkler head. It hit the front of the green and it rolled probably 10, 20 feet.
Oh, okay. So so you watched the roll.
I did. And I have the ball. My wife and my whatever cousin's wife.
Is it a shadow box?
Yep, shadow box. He's swinging the club with the ball.
That's a big deal. I remember I was on Facebook and I'm scrolling through and I don't remember the golfer, but they show him and it was like one of the US Open like tournaments, and it was the practice round.
Yeah.
But they're still playing through, and he gets up there and he whacks the ball and you can see it go up and it bounces and goes over here and hits. I mean, it was like watching, Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
And it hits the green and it just goes down the green and it keeps going and then goes a little far and then turns around and goes in. It ends up being a hole in one. And everybody was like, what in the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's AI. This is some bullshit. And then I go, did so-and-so actually do a hole in one? And then Google AI came up and said, yep, that was him. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. No.
Get the fuck out of here.
But I mean,
that's the pinnacle of golf.
Yeah. Watching everybody just, even his competitors were like grabbing his shirt going, and they're like jump up and down, golf clubs flying in the air.
And that's a professional golfer.
And they're, and
which I'm not.
They were just like going, this is crazy. I mean, it was
in the history of sports. I think when you get, it doesn't matter if NFL football, you can get some fantastic stuff. You don't get anything more fantastic than some of the shots in golf.
Yeah. I'm never going to throw a touchdown. I'm never going to catch a touchdown. I won't rush for a touchdown. I can hit a hole in one.
Yeah.
And you, if you just go out there and play.
But just the dynamics of the shot and just
look at this. There's no way
the possibility
hole in one.
The possibility of it happening. A lot of times I think with, if I were to do it, it would be a fluke, right?
Yeah.
If a professional does it, that's one thing. But if I do it, it's a fluke. And so many flukes happen in golf that it's like, what?
I mean, I think golf is so hard. Even a pro does it. It's a fluke. I mean,
that's the beauty of this is the guy
drop it within a 3-foot diameter. So much.
Oh, and they've got backspin. They've got all this other garbage. Yeah. One of the guys that I'm golfing with breaks 80 on a regular basis. He's one of the guys that was there. One of my cousins, a couple years older than me. He's I shot a 75. He shot a 70 that day.
Yeah.
But the fact that I hit that hole in one in front of him,
and he's never done it before, right?
Never, and hasn't since.
It sounds like
he's almost 60.
There. You had to spend a lot of money at the bar afterwards.
Well, but that was
do that either.
But that was like my dad, God rest his soul. When he retired, he's like, "What do I do?" So his wife was like, "Well, why don't you take up golf?"
Yeah.
She was a tennis player, and he goes, I'm not playing tennis. She goes, take up golf. And he was terrible, but he got better. And then he would invite me along and why don't you come and play golf? And I'm like, oh, I don't have any clubs. And he goes, you can use my old clubs. And I would like shank. And finally he's like, you see that car over there? I go, yep. And he goes, try to hit that car. And I'm like, but I'm trying to hit, no, just try to hit it there.
Oh, that was instinct for
and then I would try to hit the car and the ball went right down the fairway, straight down the fairway. I would shake him so hard and he chuckled and thought it was funny, but he became a really good scratch golfer and he was probably in the 70s and 80s.
Holy smoke.
You know, and he was terrible, but I didn't have my dad's, you know, my dad just would go every day and he just loved it. It became one of those things that for him, it was like therapy. He'd go and he'd play 18 holes and it was expensive.
Yep.
But he became a member of the White Bear Golf Club.
He was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Well, he taught Navy SEALs. But,
Oh yeah, so that's even. Well,
Here's a cool story for you. I'm sitting in one of my kinesiology classes at the U of M, and I'm reading a fish magazine, a fishing in fishing magazine.
Wait, I thought this was gonna be a cool story.
And there's this kid next to me going, he goes in an Australian accent, "You like to fish?" And I'm like, yeah, I love to fish. He's like, oh, I love fishing. And he's just going on.
Australian accent.
Yeah, it's not an Australian.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So he ends up, his name is Brad James.
Okay.
And he is the assistant coach for the U of M team.
Wow.
Who later becomes the coach of the U of M team. And he used to bring me out golfing all the time. And I brought him up north to my cousin's house, and we were like right over a lake, and he'd hit golf balls and he'd tell me exactly how they'd go, exactly how high they would go.
Yeah.
Exactly which direction they go. And it was amazing to watch that level of play.
Yeah.
And how they can hit.
Insane.
Like, it is.
Kevin, I want to put you on the spot. Oh, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Put him on the spot.
I'm hoping so.
We're gonna do some trivia.
Big spot. Big spot.
This is like Kevin's used to.
It's about Keith Ballard again. You just throw out random names at 2003.
No more Keith Ballard.
They showed you how to fight.
Yeah, exactly. This Gophers defenseman played 14 years in the NHL until 2018.
Paul Martin.
And he made the playoffs. Shut the fuck up, you fucking.
That hit it?
Yeah. I was going to say he made the playoffs every year that he played, except he never hoisted the Stanley Cup. Who is it? Paul Martin. Fuck you.
Patrick,
Cool trivia. Tell me another fish story.
Here, I got a trivia question for you. He never wore a helmet and his hair was like dapper all the time. Yes.
what?
Come on,
Patrick said Willie Plett earlier.
Yeah.
Patrick, come on, pull another one out. Come on, pull another one out.
No, you know what? So here's a funny story about. Well, it's not funny. It's a cool story. I'm in California in 2015, and I see on the ticker. I'm just watching sports, and it says Paul Martin signs San Jose Sharks 4 years. Blah 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 blah. So I go into my phone, and I'm like, I still got Paul Martin's number because when Paul Martin was a Gopher, like I said, I'd gone to their city. That Gene says. I went to their townhomes and I learned how to fight with Keith Ballard and I met Paul Martin. But Paul Martin used to go to Vikings games all the time and we would tailgate. And so I kind of got a rapport with him. I think we saw each other out and about every now and then. So I got his phone number and I hadn't called him in, 15 years. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. So I call him. Or I didn't call him. I texted him. Sorry. So I said, hey, Paul, welcome to Northern California. Looking forward to seeing you in a Sharks jersey. And he's like, cool, thanks. And I was like, holy shit, he's still got my number and he knows who I am. So I wait about 6 months. He's actually playing in the 2016 season. I'm like, hey, me and my wife got tickets to the game. Do you want to go hang out afterwards? And he's like, sure. So at the end of the day, we went to San Jose. We watched the game. He came out, was gracious enough to have a beer or two with us and went home. And it was just like, oh my gosh, the guy's just so neat. And he's got a great charity, Shine a Light. They just had a big charity event the other day in Minneapolis. So, but yeah, love Paul Martin. He's a really good dude. And I think he works for the Gophers now, right?
He does. He's an assistant coach under now Brett Larson, previously under Bob Motzko. But that's hockey guys, man. I'm telling you, I've worked around many, all the sports guys. I covered baseball, basketball, football, and everybody's got their good. They got their bad. You're not going to find, I can tell you I just was asked this on another podcast recently. Who's the biggest douchebag I had to work with in 20 some years of wild hockey? And only one name comes to mind. Player. And I won't say it out loud, but for the most part, 99.9% of the people I've dealt with, especially that have wore the equipment, are just really good dudes. And nowadays, they're a lot richer than they were back in the day, but they still are just good dudes. These are hockey guys.
Yeah. Hockey guys are hometown guys.
I think so.
Wait. Here's the douchebag. Because this ties into 93X. Apparently, the morning show was talking shit about Stefan Bayou one day. He got so pissed. He showed up at the morning.
No
he showed up
way.
at the 93X radio station, knocking on the door, asking to talk to people.
Let me dispel that rumor.
Oh my!
I was not talking about Stefan Bayou. He's actually a really good guy. Is actually dealing with some medical stuff. He's an awesome dude, but I guarantee you, he would definitely take it personally if you were ripping him, and he would probably come to the door and knock on it.
All right, now I've got one last trivia question for you.
Okay.
And I know everybody was out there; they're going to be asking the same thing. The Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
Now, one of them, they're all related, correct?
Carlson.
And it was related to the one guy that played for the North Stars, and who was that?
Jack Carlson.
Jack Carlson,
best guy ever. And I don't know all of them that well. There's 3 Hanson brothers.
Yep.
There was going to be they should have all been Hansons, but Jack Carlson was playing for the North Stars, couldn't be part of that movie. By the way, Bruce Boudreau in that movie. They used his apartment. Really? Paul Newman came and visited him. That's a whole nother story. But Jack Carlson now, I don't know if he still is, but at one time was a youth ref in the I don't know if it was the metro area, if it was still up north, but just one of the coolest dudes ever. Yep. Despite back in the day, he beat people up for a living. That's what Derek Boulevard did. Yeah. You know, just a complete douchebag on the ice because he could, kick people's butt. But off the ice, you will not find a nicer guy than Jack Carlson.
Yeah, I mean,
that's every meathead out there. There's
everybody watches, and they had the resurgence of the Hanson brothers and commercials and stuff, and it's like, that they are related, and they all played hockey. So.
Yeah. Well, that's us boys. We fight and we're friends.
Yeah.
Of course,
we fight and we're friends.
Yep.
So you ever gonna do golf? You ever gonna commentate golf or anything?
No. I think I'm a hockey guy till I hang it up. I'm in my mid 70s. That's enough. Whenever I'm done, I'm done.
I want to talk about something that's Kevin's going through. Kevin, can we talk about your son?
Yep.
Okay. So, Kevin, why don't you tell us about your son and what your family is going through?
So my 14-year-old, it was about a year and change ago. So my 14-year-old, Bennett Michael Falness, Benny was born with a hearing problem, and he's had hearing aids since he was 6 months old. And we knew that was an issue, but he's dealt with it. Never had a problem with it. Never lost his hearing aids. He takes care of his hearing aids better than I take care of my glasses. But he was what he was diagnosed with. The other part of hearing that I think folks look for as they grow older is it's called Usher's syndrome, and it turns out that they saw something, sent him to a specialist, and it turns out he's got the other part of Usher's syndrome, which is eyesight. Eventually, his eyesight will get down to, they say, looking like 2 straws. It'll take away his vision. So that's something we're fighting tooth and nail to find a cure for. So last year we did this walk at it's the Vision Walk. It's through to try to find cures for vision.
Usher syndrome.
This is what he's dealing with, Usher syndrome. But the walk that they do, it's this year. It's September 19th at the Harriet Bandshell, right around Lake Harriet, and we're just trying to raise money. If you want to be involved, we'd love to have you on September 19th. Come down there. We had the entire St. Louis Park hockey team last year. Wow. A lot of Benny's buddies, his friends. Yeah, it was really awesome. It was so cool.
September 19th. All those
people down there. This year it's September 19th.
What time?
At 9 a.m. Harriet Bandshell, and you just walk around Lake Harriet. If you want to be involved, you want more information, you can find it on my Twitter, X, whatever.
At Radio Falness.
At Radio Falness on Twitter or X. You can search Radio Falness.
Just donate money if you want.
Kevin Falness on Instagram, on Facebook. The more the merrier. But yeah, he's...
Any GoFundMe pages going on or anything like that?
That's what it is. any money raised through this thing,
Okay.
through the Vision Walk, goes directly towards research. We don't get a penny of it.
Okay.
We're not looking for money for
Right.
Benny, for us.
Yep.
We're looking to get a cure for this thing.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
Because it's going to take his vision. Right now, he's dealing with it wasn't a big thing last year. Once we found out about it, he went along with his year, played a year of hockey. As we've gone through this year, night vision has started to be affected. Now the peripheral is starting to get there. We don't know what his future looks like in hockey, but he's a kid that's got he's got an awesome backbone. He's going to be fine. We're going to get through it.
How
But
old
the hope
he?
is to get a cure for it.
How old is he?
He's 14.
So
Yeah.
what
so
we'll do?
what happens with Usher syndrome is you don't that's the thing about it. There's no roadmap for it. This could affect him now. It could affect him in his 20s, 30s, 40s. We do know at some point it will take
affect-
his vision,
Yeah.
Yep.
but we don't know when. So
what,
right now we're
what
trying
we'll
to
do is I'm going to at the end of the podcast here, folks, stay put and take a look. We're going to put all that information at the end of the podcast,
Yeah.
so you can look at this and you can donate. That's a great cause.
I
It's a
really
great
appreciate you
thing to
guys
do.
even bringing it up. I mean, it means a lot to our family
Thank you,
because
Patrick, for bringing it up.
we're hit directly in the eyes on it, literally in the eyes.
Yeah.
Benny's a kid that is going to be awesome and he's going to prosper
He's
no
gonna
matter what
excel.
happens. But we would love to take this on head on and find a cure for it. And he can continue playing hockey and continue he's a good player, fun to watch. And he, more than anything, he loves being with his buddies and loves
Aw.
playing hockey
Awesome.
and loves
So-
being an avid sportsman.
Lake Harriet, September
19th,
19th,
9 a.m. at the Harriet.
9 a.m. Be
Yep.
there.
All right. So we come to the conclusion of another episode. Stick around and look at some of that information. Please give. It would be great to be able to help every kid out
Yeah.
there. But this is something that is, I'd really like.
Near and dear. Yep.
It's near and
Yes.
dear to everyone here. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks
Of
for
course,
asking.
we can't do this without you. So please make sure that you hit that subscribe and share button and like us. And we just started putting full podcast episodes on our At the Bar With Facebook page. So please check that out. And we'll be putting out a couple per week so you can see some of the old episodes and have some fun
Fancy.
watching through that stuff.
Click.
Folks, have a good night and we'll see you next week.